very good morning to you, Grenada and the rest of the world. It is the 10th day of the 10th month, October 2018, and I want to say thank you so much for joining me for today's edition of Gudday Grenada. There are a few things we're going to be taking a look at this morning. You might remember that I think it was only last week we mentioned to you that Grenada had taken its first case to the CCJ, right? Case about the family who was harassed in Barbados some time ago. Well, that's finally going to the CCJ. But guess what? This week, I have now been informed that a second case has been filed. And believe it or not, this time it's against the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. You're going to get the scoop on that, all the details on that coming your way in just a wee bit. And then as he pulls up his little remote control here, no more will there be a pure Grenada music festival, at least for the time being. That's disappointing news for those of you who've been enjoying that festival over the past few years. This morning, we're going to share with you the announcement that was made pertaining to that effect. And then we have the national report from the GIS. And we're going to wrap it up this morning with an interesting background on the Grand Anse beach issue. You might recall, those of you who joined us this past Sunday morning, we had an engineer by the name, a retired engineer by the name of Leon Taylor. He joined us because he was very, very integrally involved in the early development of that entire Grand Anse environment. And he came in on the weekend to shed some light with us. He was joined by Randall Robinson, who's been very vocal about what's happening down at the beach. And so we're going to share that with you this morning, okay? But first of all, pilgrims, let's get started with this lawsuit. Grenada has filed its first case against the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in the original jurisdiction of the CCJ. It's the second case filed by Grenada in just 2 weeks in the original jurisdiction of the court. In the second case, which was filed on Tuesday, October 9th, that's yesterday, David Bain, who hails from Concord in St. John's, alleges that the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago breached his right to freedom of movement under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas when, on December 14th of 2017, last year, he was denied entry to attend a wedding of a family member and to enjoy Trinidad for a few days. On arrival on board a LIAC flight, Bain was detained and questioned by immigration officials in a manner which indicated that there was suspicion that he or someone carrying his name may have been previously imprisoned for drug-related offenses. Despite strenuously denying the allegations, the then 59-year-old Bain, who has never been arrested or charged for drug offenses, was sent back to Grenada, hungry, tired, disappointed, frustrated, and embarrassed. He felt humiliated and treated as a prisoner without justification. It was a flight attendant from LIAC who informed him that he was being denied permission to land in Trinidad and Tobago after awaiting word from an immigration officer for about an hour. He was even informed by the LIAC attendant that he would have to pay the difference on the ticket to go back to Grenada, which of course he refused. Bain is contending that his right to move freely within the Caribbean community without harassment of the imposition of impediments was infringed by the state of Trinidad and Tobago. He was not allowed to contact an attorney, family member, or consular official. Furthermore, he was given no valid reason within the requirements of the revised treaty for denying him entry and sending him back to Grenada. Bain holds both a Grenadian and U.S. passport. On September 25th, Grenada filed its first matter in the original jurisdiction of the CCJ against the state of Barbados for breach of the right to freedom of movement, this time in relation to a family of four: Pastor Royston Gilbert, his wife Glenner Gilbert, and two daughters, Linnell Gilbert and Tamika Gilbert, were detained in Barbados back in October of 2016, 2 years ago. And that was after a store owner falsely accused one of the daughters of stealing her cell phone. The two daughters were stripped, searched, and made to stoop and cuff while naked. The Barbados police also insisted that one of the daughters, Tamika, change a portion of her written statement to the police before the entire family could leave the station in time to catch their Liat flight back to Grenada that evening. Both Bain and the Gilbert family are represented by Siboney Chambers in Grenada. That release was dated yesterday's date. That's the 9th of October, signed by Ruggles Ferguson, who is the managing partner of Siboney Chambers. Okay, now, so that's it for the CCJ for today. Let us now turn to another issue. One just can't help but ask, why is it that events with so much great potential for Grenada just don't seem to last? Years ago, we had the Grenada Jazz Festival. Remember that? An event with enormous potential, which just evaporated. 2 years ago, the Grenada Invitational was launched. And while there is a promise that there will be a third one next year, there is a level of uncertainty because of the recent events, which I'm sure you heard about a lot. Right now, we hear that the Pure Grenada Music Festival has come to an end. And I want to quote a statement that came from the man behind the Pure Grenada Music Festival. Chairman of the Pure Grenada Music Festival has announced the cancellation of the Pure Grenada Music Festival for 2019. Dieter Burkhalter says that they've enjoyed and appreciated the amazing responses from organizers, volunteers, and patrons alike to the PGMF 2016, 2017, and 2018. And they were excited about the possibilities for the festival in 2019. However, the Pure Grenada Music Festival has been a great financial responsibility and expense to Mr. Burkhalter. And he's the person who has undertaken this for the last 3 years. And although he's been happy to do what he can to ensure the success of this event, because he truly believes in it and the opportunities it could bring to the people of Grenada, he is unable to shoulder that financial risk for a fourth time. An event like this can only be sustainable with a collaboration between the private and public sectors. He and his team have been putting forward a great effort to curb these obstacles. But with just 7 months left before the next scheduled festival, he must make the difficult but necessary decision to cancel next year's event. Mr. Burkhalter assures the public that he remains committed to music and to the development of music here in Grenada, and will, for sure, find other ways to inspire growth and progress among the aspiring Grenadian musicians. Perhaps in the future, the team would be able to overcome the current difficulties, and the Pure Grenada Music Festival will return to the shores of Grenada. But for now, this is the course of action they must take. There you have it, pilgrims. Sad news, but that's the statement from Mr. Burkhalter. And let's do the decent thing here and extend thanks to him for his effort. I was involved in the original Grenada Jazz Festival, so I know that there's a lot of work that goes into putting on shows of this nature. So I can just imagine what he had been through. And I really do appreciate him. And sir, I'm sure that the people of this nation join me in extending our thanks and appreciation. Up next, we will turn to the GIS's National Report.
So babe, Alberto and Beryl come and gone, right? So that means we still have Chris, Debbie, Florence, Michael, Patty, Sarah.
From the looks of it, Tony and Valerie might be coming as well. So we need to pick up some extra hurricane supplies.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's is an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan. Get discounts when using credit and debit cards.
Grenada Market has now introduced Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zebrapick, Nutmed, Bourbon and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
good to be early. Pay your Grand Lake bill on time.
Remedial work to be undertaken to address rock slippage in River Road. Details to this story and more coming up in the National Report. Welcome back with the details to the news for today, Tuesday, October 9th, 2018. I am Wendy Edmond. The Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Public Utilities says priority will be given to placing nets along the area in River Road where rocks are slipping. The initial River Road project formed part of mitigation efforts under the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project, which seeks to reduce vulnerability to natural hazards and climate change impacts. There are many areas across Grenada where nets have been placed to prevent further rock slippage and ensure the safety of motorists.
This was a phase of work that was completed under the slope stabilization project, under the DVRP project. As you know, there was a budgeted amount to carry out a humongous amount of works. The budget is almost nil, but again, public safety, public life, it's of vital importance, and we are looking, into the pipeline to have the surface, or we say netted, submarine netting, somewhat similar to what we have at the exit end of the Sendal Tunnel, just to keep motorists a little bit more secure.
Chief Technical Officer in the Ministry of Works, John St. Louis, he says the ministry will do all it can to ensure that work is done on the area, including constructing drains to prevent water from seeping through the rocks, causing further slippage.
There is what we call a whole variation of composition of the rock face. You have rocks, you have soft soil, you have a whole combination. So you find from time to time with the environmental agent, with water erosion, wind erosion, even shaking and so forth. From time to time you see dislodging of the rocks and so forth. So in the mitigation measure, we try to do some cut-aside drains so that you don't have heavy water flowing at the rock face. And again, for motorists to be caution in terms of the time when they are driving, not to drive too directly underneath the rock face and so forth, But we'll do within our confines all that we can do to prevent any injury and loss of lives and so forth.
Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell is in Bali, Indonesia this week for the annual meeting of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund. Among other important engagements, Dr. Mitchell will be a keynote speaker at the Small States Forum 2018. Dr. Mitchell is the outgoing chair of the Small States Forum and will hand over chairmanship to Fiji at the end of the meeting on Thursday. In his final duties as chairman, he will deliver opening and closing remarks at the meeting, which will be held under the theme Small States Forum 2018, Building Resilience and Connectivity. The technical sessions at Thursday's meeting will include discussion on disaster risk management and debt sustainability in the face of shocks, as well as technology, innovation and connectivity. Experiences from small states and World Bank Group support for digital development. The Small States Forum is designed to bring together finance ministers and central bank governors from member states, along with high-level representatives from international organizations like the United Nations, International Monetary Fund, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and the Commonwealth Secretariat. The Small States Forum is usually held during the World Bank Group IMF annual meetings. This other story, the Grenada Bar Association says negotiations are ongoing for the procurement of a building to house Grenada's civil and criminal courts, and it is anticipated that this could be in place by the end of December 2018. Since May 2018, the Lime building housing the court complex for both criminal and civil high courts has been shut due to environmental concerns. Efforts to rehouse the courts were not concluded in time for the start of the law term on September 15, which meant a shutdown of both criminal and civil courts for several months. However, the Bar Association says some progress has been made to facilitate sittings of the High Court, following discussions between Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Labour Honourable Peter David, the Registrar of the Supreme Court, and a delegation from the Grenada Bar Association. A request was made to Parliament, and the presiding officers agreed that the conference room will be available for use as a civil high court. The former parliamentary office at the Botanical Gardens is also to be made available for the use of the courts, provisional measures that were welcomed by the Bar Association. This is the National Report. More news when we return.
The safety on our roads make this a major priority. Health of our people, a crucial necessity. Accidents happen when road users are either irresponsible or inconsiderate in one way or the other. Play your part. Reduce your speed. Be attentive. It is your personal responsibility. Let 2017 be the start of no more road fatality. Be safe, be seen, be smart. So let's wise up as a nation, get to your destination safe.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Education, Human Resource Development and Religious Affairs is seeking to revamp student councils in Grenada's secondary schools. This was marked by an initial student council meeting on October 2nd at the Grenville Secondary School for District 3, attended by Education Minister Honorable Emlyn Pear. We get more in this and at more reports.
You are just as important and valuable in building a stronger education system as any other stakeholder.
The Ministry of Education, through the Department of Student Support Services Unit, is mandated to the task of the formation of the Student Council, which speaks to the Education Act of 2002 in Section 71. It says there must be established at every public secondary school a student council elected by the student body from among its members.
The goal of the meetings organized in the various school districts is to sensitize students and others about the benefits of having secondary school student councils and to chart the way forward for the formation of a National Students' Council by the end of the current academic school year.
From my experiences, I must say that the Student Council is a very, very important tool. And if you want to seriously address disciplinary issues at schools, furniture issues and all of these things, there is no better place to start than with a student council.
I've been a member of the Students' Council for years, up to Form 1 and now I'm in Form 5. The Students' Council has helped me in socializing and being a much better person. Thinking back over the years, I wouldn't be able to stand up here, so it helped me with public speaking. So I encourage you guys, which don't have a Student Council, to join in and create one in your school.
Several students at the meeting came forward to state ways in which they think they can serve and what they think are the benefits of the Student Council.
I think that I can give my time and tutor others that need help with studying and don't understand what's going on in classroom.
I think the Student Council is a great idea. Going to help us develop our leadership skills and better us because we are the future of tomorrow.
I can't speak for other schools, but in convents I think that the Student Council is often overshadowed by other clubs and things that sound more important than giving students a voice and addressing real issues. So that's one thing. And then another would be student fair, because all of the students are afraid to express their opinion.
Student councils are expected to empower students with the relevant knowledge, skills, and attitudes to effectively function in a democratic society. The Student Support Services Department of the Ministry is leading the initiative, which involves the school principals democratically electing student councils at their schools.
I'm actually excited to hear about you campaigning in your schools, having your ballot papers ready, and getting the process going. But what is most important? It's not about just being elected. What is most important? What you do after you are elected.
The minister encouraged students involved in the student councils to be responsible and good representatives for their peers.
These activities are extremely important for shaping and developing your life, not just for today, but many, many years down the road.
Student council meetings continue for the other districts every Tuesday until the end of October 2018. For the National Report, I'm Annette Moore.
And that's a wrap for the National Report for today, Tuesday, 9th October 2018. From all of us in the newsroom, I am Wendy Edmond, thanking you for viewing.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates,
anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment.
Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Grenada Market has now introduced the Prime products to online shoppers in the UK via amazon.co.uk. Zebrapick, Nutmeg, Wabande and Mobiback are now available, with more products being added gradually. These products are shipped across the UK and Europe free of charge for Amazon Prime members and backed by Amazon's reputable customer service. Avoid international shipping. Buy in your local area. Amazon.com in the USA, Amazon.ca in Canada, and Amazon.co.uk in UK and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Hi, I'm Gloria. My family and I travel all around the world, lighting up homes and businesses just like yours. And lately, we've been hearing a lot of talk about electricity.
Yes. Are my rates the highest in the world?
Your rate is definitely not the highest. Grenadians are paying a similar rate to some islands in the Caribbean, and in some cases, even less.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Alrighty, folks, it's now local time here in Grenada, 29 minutes after 9 o'clock. Now, on Sunday, we had a couple of persons in here to discuss the current scenario down at the Silver Sand site at Grand Anse. They were Leon Taylor, an engineer who was integrally involved in the early development of the Grand Anse area. He was joined by Randall Robinson, a public advocate who had been accentuating the environmental disaster in the making at Grand Anse. In 1985, Mr. Taylor was commissioned by the Organization of American States to make recommendations about addressing environmental issues at Grand Anse. They were here on Sunday to help in educating the public about the facts and realities about the prevailing scenario at the Silver Sands project. The GrenadaBroadcast.com website has the program in its entirety in its SWG's archive. You may go and listen to the entire discussion. But this morning, I'd like to bring you an excerpt from that discussion. Leon has only this year written another report about what is occurring now at Grand Anse. He asked Randall Robinson to read it to our audience. Give a listen for the next few minutes. And folks, a lot of stuff is going to be revealed here, which I think you will find rather interesting. The piece runs for about 23 minutes.
There was no sewage system on Grand Anse beach, and there was that drain that still exists that runs from more or less the Riviera right around behind Spice Island, past the police station, and back up in a closed loop. The water table there is very high. Okay, so that drain always has water in it. Okay, and at the time, the hotel and the university were all using septic tanks, and septic tanks have soakaways, and eventually the soakaway was going into the drain. As a result, they had a massive blue-green algae breakout at Spice Island, and you actually used to sink in it. And the OAS asked me if I could advise them on what to do. And I came up with a scheme of artificial wetlands, of trying to retain the water. That is, I built a dam at the outfall, so the water in the drain would not go directly into the sea. Pumped from there into 2 or 3 ponds where the police station is that had plants. And in the last pond, when that was full and for a while, we would then pump that water into the sea. So we did some polishing of the water, and the algae abated. Now, the blue-green algae is a bacteria. It's not a seaweed, and it feeds on itself. Okay? So it will disappear if it doesn't keep receiving nutrients.
Ah, okay.
Okay, and the nutrients are sewage water and stuff like that, fertilizers. Mm-hmm. Okay, and there also was an E. coli infection in the water at that time on Grand Anse Beach. And the OAS asked me to do a study at Silver Sands. Now, I happened to stay when I came to Grenada in 85 in the Freighter's Cottage. And 3 times a week I would swim from that end down to where the St. George's University is now, and run back up. Mm-hmm. And there was a beach there. I don't think there was a Palace Hotel there. I don't think Jenny's was there, right? And the beach was one continuous strand. Okay, so I worked with a hydrologist engineer from Barbados. And we looked at Silver Sands, and we designed retention ponds. And the retention ponds, the flow was so large, the retention ponds took up most of the flat area in Silver Sands. And Silver Sands was functioning as to retain the water, and with the plants to polish the water. right? Because instead of flowing straight out, the water has to go a tortuous path through the plant roots, and a lot of the nutrients are taken out. That was private property, and nothing was done with the study. Okay, but the sewage scheme was introduced, paid by the Canadians, and all the hotels that existed then were connected, or supposedly connected to the line. Okay. Now, recently, I walk the beach. I go and look at things because I'm an engineer and now retired. I have time. I'm really interested in seeing Grenada develop correctly, the right way. So my interest is technical, okay? And I noticed a hell of a green algae outbreak at Silver Sands. I actually wrote an article on my own on both, at Spice Island, on both Spice Island and Silver Sands. And here's what I saw. Okay?
Randall, you going to read that for us?
Yeah, I could.
Go ahead.
One possible cause is that the drain running behind Spice Land Mall was recently cleaned for a significant portion of its length. The removal of the vegetation from the drain results in the loss of the ability of this vegetation to remove nutrients from the drain water, and also decreases the retention time of the drain water reaching the outfall, thereby resulting in a higher concentration of nutrients in the outfall discharge. The outfall itself is badly damaged, so that drain water is discharged in the surf zone, where it remains rather than being discharged out to sea, where it has a chance of being dispersed by the nearshore currents. It is also possible that the recently built apartments across the road behind Spiceland Mall may not be connected to the sewage system, and they are using septic tanks, the runoff from which would be nutrient rich and would find access to the drain behind Spiceland Mall, and hence the outfall. So the photo, and he shows a photo here of the green algae, if you could see it, right? The photo above shows the blue-green algae bloom in June 2018 at the Spice Island in outfall. The blue-green algae extends to the end of the beach in the west. It appears to have been subsequently removed from the beach. However, removing the algae from the beach constitutes treating the symptom and not the cause. The immediate steps required to alleviate the problem would be to repair and rebuild and extend, if possible, the outfall. However, to go further, an investigation has to be conducted to determine if all buildings in the area are connected to the sewage system, and the impact of those that are not. All buildings in the area should be connected to the sewage system if they are not. The quality of the water in the storm drain and the seawater has to be determined and monitored, and these measurements must be carried out on a regular basis. Ultimately, the solution for this area is the replacement of the open drain that surrounds the area by a storm sewage system with a proper outfall. Such a system is probably necessary now, and it certainly should be considered before any further development takes place in the area extending from the Riviera site to Journey's End.
Okay.
Right.
So
the green algae at Silver Sands.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to read it?
Yes, I'll read it. Yeah. So
you read well anyway.
Yes, the blue-green algae bloom at Silver Sands. The Silver Sands site is currently in the advanced stages of development into a 6-star luxury resort, which appears to occupy the entire site, including the original low-lying swampy area, which has been filled and no longer exists. Apparently, an EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment study, was prepared in advance of construction and recommended that measures were to be designed to clean the storm runoff before it entered the sea. Further, a Grenada news broadcast bulletin titled Silver Sands installs measures to protect the environment, quoted the head of the architectural firm of TVA Consultants as follows: "What we have done is to collect the debris before it gets to the sea. We take care of it ourselves through trash racks in our drains. We have silt traps within our drains so that the water that then goes out, as was seen on the weekend, is clear, and that's indisputable. There is no evidence of retention ponds or silt traps on the construction site when viewed from the main road. What is evident is that the runoff from the extensive catchment area, which once discharged onto the Silver Sand site, is intercepted by a concrete channel that runs along the western boundary of the site to an outfall structure on Grand Anse Beach. The statement above by TVA suggests that the trash racks and silt traps are located in the concrete channel. The concrete channel is approximately 4 feet wide and is flush with the existing road level. It is not known how deep the concrete channel is. However, it is filled with broken rock to a depth of 2 feet below the top of the concrete channel. The concrete channel runs to an outfall on the site boundary. This outfall is located on Grand Anse Beach, some distance from the sea. It goes on. The outfall structure is partially covered by a 10-foot wide raised wooden platform with steps at either end, presumably to allow pedestrian traffic to cross it. The width of the concrete channel increases to 15 feet, approximately 40 feet from the wooden platform, and ends 15 feet after its end. The crushed rock extends to the end of the widened concrete channel and ends in the sand of the beach. Not knowing the details of the design of the outfall and its concrete channel, perhaps the crushed rock layer is intended to act as a silt trap, and that the runoff flowing in the crushed rock layer will filter through the beach sand. However, this is impractical since the
interstices
in
the spaces between
the spaces in the crushed rock layer are too large to remove fine material, and the runoff reaching the outfall will be silt laden, and the crushed rock layer will eventually be blocked by beach sand and will permanently store runoff on its surface, as seen in the photograph below. And it shows, folks, if you could see this photograph here, and that in some of the videos you would have seen that raised platform that he spoke about, you know, right at the end there, George. When you get to the beach, you could climb over it. What people used to call a stinky drain and so. The effective depth of the concrete channel in periods of heavy rains and storms, or for that matter when it conducts water, is therefore restricted to a depth of 2 feet. That is the distance from the top of the concrete channel to the surface of the crushed rock. As a result, other than having trash and other debris removed, the discharge from the outfall will consist of untreated water with a high nutrient level capable of promoting the formation of blue-green algae bloom. This water will be discharged directly on the beach, eroding it before reaching the sea. Confirmation of the above is to be found in the photograph below, which shows the outfall discharge in June 2018, coincident with the first appearance of the blue-green algae in the sea at Silver Sands. The discharged water in the photograph below are certainly not clear and no doubt polluted. And that's this other photograph that we have here. And if you were following in the videos, the early videos in September, you would have seen the same thing shown there. So all of this is Silver Sand. So let's just let me finish the right. Again, we see another photograph of this is the...
Just bring it a little closer.
Yeah. Another photograph there showing how the water is just going straight out to the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah? Right. So, given the above, not only is the Silver Sands outfall capable of polluting the sea, it is incapable of handling the runoff from its catchment area. When rainstorms or periods of high rainfall occur, the outfall is breached and silt-laden runoff flows unimpeded across the beach and into the sea, creating a plume that extends far out to sea, as shown in the photographs below taken after a period of heavy rainfall in November 2015. The outfall and measures taken to treat the runoff at Silver Sands have failed. The concrete channel and its outfall with its crushed rock layer are nothing short of an environmental disaster. The water that remains in the crushed rock layer will become stagnant, promoting the growth of bacteria and algae, and poses a health hazard. And these pictures show what happened in 2015, even when we had the natural silt trap there.
Okay.
Yes. So, and the ends. The extensive silt-laden plume created after storm seen in the photographs above not only destroys the beach and pollutes the sea, but it will destroy the offshore coral reefs if they still exist. Most importantly, the outfall on the beach and its unsuccessful efforts to clean the runoff from the catchment area threaten the successful operation of the Silver Sands Resort with its intended 6-star rating. The solution to the problem at Silver Sands is both difficult and expensive. The site is surrounded by occupied private properties, providing no opportunity to locate retention ponds. The only immediate practical solution seems to be the creation of a storm sewage system, but this requires a significant amount of detailed study and design at the expense. Nevertheless, the quality of the seawater in front of the outfall and the Silver Sands Resort must be monitored as soon as possible to determine what dangers to swimmers exist. Perhaps the blue-green algae blooms that now threatens Grand Anse Beach, the island's greatest environmental asset, is a lesson to be embraced. That is, the provision of proper infrastructure must come before investment occurs. Grand Anse Beach is in dire need of a stormwater sewage system before further investment of any significance can successfully occur without causing damage to the environment. There is also need for the creation of a master plan for the area, incorporating not only stormwater disposal, but sewage treatment and transportation access. And this was done by Leon Taylor on June 25th, 2018.
Leon, yeah. You used some pretty harsh words there.
No. I just spoke the truth. I'm a technical person.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
But some may see them as harsh, and I think it's because you're very serious about preserving our environment.
Yes.
Okay. Has anybody been listening, Leon?
Well, I did send a copy before I left. I went away for 6 weeks to the press secretary of
the Prime Minister?
Of the Prime Minister, and asked her to read it, and if she thought it was merit, that she should let him read it, because I think he is going to have a political problem on his hands, right? That needs to be addressed. So I did. I never got word of a receipt or whether the Prime Minister has it. It is my intention to give that. I did all this work myself. I've not been paid for it, just out of my interest in the country, in the island, and I plan to give it to planning and tell them if they find any value in it, they should use it. Right?
You're hopeful? Are you hopeful?
Well, I can only try. I think we should not condemn our institutions. We should try and strengthen them, because they have a vital role to play.
When you say our institutions, are you referring to the Department of Physical Planning?
Yes, there was one, Ministry of Works. We don't have a proper resurfacing plant on the island to maintain our roads. Our roads are really not intended for the traffic. We don't have any arterial roads, on-street parking, and there's been such an increase in vehicles. My fear, really, is that Grenada has reached a tipping point, okay? And if something is not done about infrastructure, right, that we are going to see a deterioration which is already happening in the quality of life. When you have to spend 45 minutes to get to the airport from Wall Street, that's affecting the quality of your life. And in the past, right, aid used to step in. The big countries gave Grenada aid. I think there was a backlash for that because the taxpayers in those countries said, why are you taking our money and giving to these countries when things need fixing in our own country? However, it seems that the big countries now have found a way to channel money. I look at it that way anyway. To challenge money to places like Grenada through what they call the Climate Resilience Fund, right? And that ought to be tapped. But you know, because a lot of people, tapped by the government, by local institutions here, because a lot of companies external are looking at this as a source of revenue and profits for them, and they get involved, want to get jumped the gun. They've been looking at this since, I think, 2004. There's some accord. And Grenada has been signaled, but climate resilience essentially means the ability for your infrastructure or your society to rebound from a event caused by climate or any other thing, right? So you have to have the infrastructure there. And I have another article in preparation. It's quite extensive. And China, for example, spends something like 9% of its GDP on infrastructure. And it broke from the IMF to be able to do this. And that is what has contributed greatly to China's advancement, economic advancement. It was followed by Singapore and I think South Korea and some other countries in the East. Whereas in this part of the world, like the States and Europe, they spend between 2 and 4% of their GDP. Okay, so one of the things that worries me in Grenada is that there's a institution called the Transparency International that does corruption perception index, and Grenada is at the bottom of the list of that's being corrupt. Now, I've never come face to face with corrupt in all my years of dealing corruption, right? But they recommend that if you wish to remove corruption, you need whistleblowers, right? And they even suggest you should protect and reward whistleblowers. However, in Grenada, a whistleblower is seen to be a political opponent, and that's bad. So people, like I can articulate myself technically. A lot of people that see problems cannot do so, right? And the only way to be heard if they say something is wrong is really to jump on make it political. Or the government would say, it's like the emperor's clothes, new clothes, right? Where he was naked and nobody dare say you're naked because the head will get cut off.
All right, folks, there you have it. Two very interesting gentlemen, Leon Taylor, whom you heard there at the top at the end of that piece, and also Randall Robinson. Just want to remind you that that was only a portion of the conversation that we had on Sunday, this past week's edition of Sundays with George Grant. And the full session is on the GrenadaBroadcast.com GRENADABROADCAST.com website, which unfortunately we're still having some difficulty with. I've been told as recently as within the last couple hours that the site will once again be functional later on today. We'll keep our fingers crossed and see whether or not that materializes. But when it does, you may go on back and listen to that conversation with Leon, Randall, and me. Okay? Just about time now to wrap it up. But before we go, let's take one more look at some of our sponsors.
Conveniently located in the Grand Anse Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grand Anse will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Coop Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
After a hurricane, exercise caution as you may still be in danger. Be alert and keep listening to the media for official instructions. Assume all wires are energized and stay away from them. Avoid water that is in contact with poles and lines. Report all emergencies and outages by calling GRENLEC at 237. If your home or business sustains damage and you are safely able to get to the main switch, turn off the power immediately. Get a licensed electrician to check your home for damage before restoring the power. GRENLEC will ensure that island-wide power is safely restored within the shortest possible time, with essential services restored first. For more information, please visit us at www.grenlec.com.
GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
Okie doke, folks. This is where we're going to pull the curtain down. And as usual, I want to leave you with some encouragement, some inspiring words from the book of Job. Blessed is the one whom God corrects. So do not despise the discipline of the Almighty, for he wounds, but he also binds up. He injures, but his hands also heal. From 6 calamities he will rescue you, and 7, no harm will touch you. In famine he will deliver you from death, and in battle from the stroke of the sword. You will be protected from the lash of the tongue, and need not fear when destruction comes. My dear friends, carry those words close to your heart this day. And once again, I do thank you for joining us this morning. I'm George Grant, sending God's blessings your way. By his grace, let's assemble here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.